welcome to New Canaan Library's Cooking with Anna. This is our very first program where we're doing cooking on screen. And we're very happy to have Anna Francese Gass with us. She is the author of Heirloom Kitchen, she's also a New Canaan resident here. So we are very fortunate to have her here. She's very busy. And today she's going to be showing us how to make Tina's Chinese dumplings. Welcome, Anna. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. As we spoke, Laura, I am a big lover of libraries and especially the New Canaan Library. I will be so excited at some point where we can do things in real life again. I feel like the light is there. We just have to keep, walking towards it.
Yes.
But in the meantime, this is really fun and I get to come into your home and you can absolutely cook along with me or just, watch this as kind of like a fun little cooking show.
So let me just give a little housekeeping to the audience. Everyone, please put your questions in the question and answers. Everyone is muted right now. And so I will be then giving Anna the questions that we will be giving to me. And I just wanted to let you know, last year, I've been doing a cooking, kind of like a dinner program where I put out cookbooks. People take the cookbooks and make a dish, and then we come all together for a dinner. And last year we did a around the world dinner, for about 6 weeks. And always your cookbook was taken off the shelf and everybody was making some of the recipes. And anyway, it was much appreciated all last year, all of your wonderful recipes. So we look forward to going back to our dinner hour. And anyway, so thank you for those great recipes.
Wow, that is so nice to know. And yes, so perfect segue. This is my cookbook, Heirloom Kitchen. It's available everywhere. I know it is fully stocked at Elm Street Books. They are quite supportive of me. The books there are actually signed. If you have a copy, if you want a copy, if you get there and there is unsigned copies, leave it with the lovely folks there. They will have me sign it for you, personalize it if you like, and then you can go back and pick it up. But yes, I went around the world cooking with immigrant grandmothers. They gave me those recipes that they have in their head and their hearts, but never wrote down. I think that's something that, we can all relate to. And today we're going to be doing Tina's dumplings. The fun thing about Tina is her son lives here in New Canaan. So the Yao family is here in New Canaan, and this is Tina. I met her daughter-in-law, Katrina, who introduced me, and we cooked together. And these are the beautiful, this is the beautiful recipes that she gave me. And then, of course, we also have a picture of the dumplings. So what's really nice is you can actually follow step by step. I'm going to show you how to make the dumplings, but of course, they take a little bit of practice. So don't worry about it. Like I tell my kids, they all taste the same when they end up in your stomach. But if you are in a position where you want to get them perfect, just keep practicing. As they always say, practice makes perfect. All right, let's get cooking. So there's a couple things I did ahead of time just so that we wouldn't have to wait for things to get moving, but I will explain as I go. So the first thing that you want to do when you're making homemade dumplings is make the dumpling dough. You can absolutely buy wrappers at the grocery store if you just want to focus on the filling, but it's really not that difficult. So I made my dough half an hour ago, and it's 2 ingredients. It's 4 cups of water, 4 cups of flour and 1 cup of warm water. That's it. You're going to knead those things together. You can either do it in a food processor, in a mixer, or you could really just do it by hand like Tina does, and you get a nice supple dough. After that dough has rested for half an hour, it's ready to go. So I'm just going to cover that because the only other thing that we have to do for this recipe is make the delicious filling. So how does Tina make this filling? So she's got a couple of tricks that make her dumplings a little bit different, I think, than what you get at the store or at the restaurant, but so delicious. So obviously, the first main ingredient of the dumplings is pork, ground pork. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 pound of ground pork in my big bowl. Now, I've gotten this question many times, so I will answer it before anyone even asks. And that is, What if I don't eat pork? Not a problem. These can be made with anything. Ground chicken, ground turkey. You could even do ground veal or ground beef, whatever you like. Pork is traditional. It's got that fatty flavor that I think is very known and delicious in dumplings, but I am telling you, you can absolutely make this with something else. And I'll even give you a few vegetarian options. So the pork goes in, 1 pound. Now, the other thing that we're gonna put in that I think is very interesting and very unique to Tina is she actually puts in a 1/4 cup of tofu. Now, the reason that she does this, and we give it a little mash first. So you can either cut it up or you can just mince it like this. I mean, especially because this is soft tofu. So it really just crumbles easily. So if you're familiar with tofu, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, tofu is definitely a fun ingredient to play with because there's just so many things you can do with it. If you get hard tofu, you can fry it in a pan and serve it with soy sauce, or add it to a meat dish and it takes on the flavor. Tofu is a chameleon. It takes on the flavor of whatever it's with. So Tina adds it here because it adds a moisture to the pork and it blends in that when you're eating it, it just tastes like the pork. It doesn't taste like tofu. And the reason that she did it was when she came to the United States, she found that our pork, she says, is less flavorful, but really what it is, the ground pork that you get at the grocery store has less fat than what she was used to in China. So she was finding it to be a bit dry when she was eating her dumplings. So she added the tofu because she felt like it really just added what it needed to get that moisture. And, you know, honestly, that's healthier, you know, than instead of adding more fat, adding some tofu to this is giving you the moisture that you need. It's not compromising the flavor and, you know, you're not having as much fat. So that goes in. Then the other thing that you're going to go ahead and throw in is some ginger, which is obviously very well known in Asian cooking. So a couple of things on ginger. You can buy a knob at the grocery store, peel it and mince it up, or you can actually buy minced ginger at the grocery store. So I love to do that because I put ginger in everything. So instead of having a knob that I have to peel and mince, I just buy the minced ginger right at the store. So that goes in. So now that we have that in, now we're going to add a little bit of scallion. Green scallion from the grocery store. It comes like this. You're just going to chop it up. And the green parts too, because the green on the scallion actually has quite a bit of flavor. So you're going to get 2 of these. You're going to cut off the end. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a root there that you're going to want to get rid of. Slice it up nice and thin, and that goes in too. Now, the other ingredient that's going to give this some flavor is soy sauce. Now, because you're adding 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, you do not need to add any salt to this. It's going to be completely flavorful because of the salt and the soy sauce. And then typically when you eat dumplings, you don't eat them plain. You either eat them with a dipping sauce, which I can show you, or if you boil them, you can put them in soup. So either way, they're going to take on the flavor of whatever you're serving them with. So you don't have to be super salt heavy here. Now, final ingredient, again, this is something that Tina does that I don't know that the restaurants or the places that you're getting these, the grocery store do. She actually adds a little bit of white wine. And the reason that she adds white wine is she says that it kind of really just kind of masks the flavor of the pork and really just enhances everything else. And I love the addition of the white wine. So once we have that in, we're going to mash it up a little bit. And then we're going to add our final ingredient, which I'm going to grab for myself right off of the stove. Now, it's funny because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. So you might actually have this ingredient laying around, and that would be cabbage. Now, she uses Napa cabbage. Again, this is an Asian-based cabbage, but if you have some green cabbage left over from yesterday, you can use it. Any cabbage will do. And I just was thinking about this morning and kind of laughing to myself because I think this morning everybody has some leftover cabbage from, you know, last night. Now, what I did with the cabbage was all I did was cut it up and I put it in a pan with some water and I steamed it. I just wanted to get it nice and soft. And that's what Tina does. So I want to show this to you. It's super, super soft. It is, however, a little bit waterlogged. So what you're going to want to do is remove all that moisture from your cabbage before you put it into your pork. I'm going to drain this really quick. Laura, do we have any questions, or are we good on that?
Actually, Anna, someone asked the question. I guess she has your recipe. I did print them out so people have them in front of them. The recipe says 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, but I guess you had just said put in 2 tablespoons of soy sauce.
Oh, did I say that? Oh, what am I doing here? I'm sorry. Thank you for catching that. It's 2 tablespoons white wine, 1 tablespoon of soy. Thank you so much. Sometimes I talk and I'm talking too fast. So yes, so that is actually correct. You don't have to, it's 1, and that's actually what I put in. I pre-measured everything very early this morning. So yeah, 1 table soy, 2 table white wine. And I'm really glad that some people have that out in front of them. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way so that we can see. This is the lovely part of, the Zoom, is I got to make sure everyone can see. So as you can see, I put it out on my board. I've strained it. And now all I'm doing is just giving it a very, very fine chop. Again, when you bite into this dumpling, you're not going to taste any of these flavors independently. It's just going to be one bite of all these flavors that have come together in the mixture. And you don't have to actually worry about the kids saying, oh, I don't want the green, or I don't want the tofu. They'll have no idea that any of that is in there. Now, this is what the Napa cabbage looks like that you can get at the grocery store. Mine was very, very big. And that's the thing. The recipe calls for 1 head, but not all heads are the same. So in that regard, when you are looking at the recipe and it says 1 head of cabbage, or really any recipe, just, eyeball it. If you go to the grocery store and you see 10 Napa cabbage and all of them are the same size, then you're safe. But if you have see a really big one and a really small one, try to get the one that's in the middle, because you don't necessarily know what the person was working with when they had the recipe in front of them. All right, move this out of my way. All right. So we're just chopping this up. Like I said, nice and fine. This is something that you can also do the day before. Like I said, you got some leftover cabbage. You'll grab some pork and you are on your way to dumplings. All right. So I really like the way this looks. It's nice and chopped up. Get my bowl in front of me. I'm going to get a bowl. What I'm going to do is, as I pick it up, just going to remove that water. That might, at this point I've drained it, but it's always good to just make sure that you've gotten that water out of there and it's not going to waterlog your mixture. All right. Get this all in. And the other really great thing about this recipe, for those of you that love to plan ahead, I know not everybody does, but the great thing about this recipe is that these are perfect to freeze, absolutely perfect. And the nice thing about freezing them is that you can cook them straight from frozen. Do not defrost these. So let's just talk about that. So let's say you make all these dumplings, you're gonna make about 60, 70, 80 dumplings, depending on how big you make them. And if it's your first time making them, I do suggest making them a little bit bigger, because the smaller you make them, the more kind of dexterous you have to be with the pleating. So I always say, if you're a beginner in the dumpling world, start with making them a little bit bigger. So you might only end up with, 40 or 50 dumplings, which is still plenty, but you won't be stressing out that they're gonna, break open or whatever. All right, this cutting board has done what it needs to do. We'll move it out of the way. Yeah, so you only have 50, but that's still a lot. Let's say you serve family of 5, you serve 5 people with them, and then you have all these left over. So what you do is you just get a nice gallon Ziploc bag, throw a little bit of flour in it, and shake it around because you don't want things sticking. Then you lay it on top of a baking sheet, and you're gonna line them in so that every dumpling is on an even part of the board, but not on top of each other, because that's when they'll stick. Get it in the
Question,
freezer.
Anna.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Just before you get too far, someone is asking, did you squeeze the water out of the tofu also?
I did not. I did drain it. But I did not physically squeeze it. There isn't enough. That when you're when you're going to want to really drain tofu and squeeze that water out is if you're like deep frying it or doing anything where it's going to be directly on heat. In this recipe, it's going in. It's okay to have a little moisture. You don't want to add any of the liquid that the tofu is kind of sitting in, but you don't need to like drain it overnight or do anything like that. You can just take it out of the water, maybe pat it dry just so that it's, you know, easy to cut or crumble, and then go ahead and get it in. I hope that, let me know if you have any other questions on that. So anyway, so yeah, so you're going to get them on that baking sheet. Then you take the baking sheet and you put it right in the freezer. Make some room in the freezer so the baking sheet can lie nice and flat with all the dumplings nice and flat. In an hour, take it out. All your dumplings will be rock hard, and then you can kind of toss them up, and then you can just throw them back in without the baking sheet. The baking sheet doesn't need to live in the fridge forever. But what it just allows is then when you're ready for dumplings, or if you even want to serve them as a snack, you can just pull out 5 and cook them and leave the rest of them in the freezer. So I will tell you, my children love this recipe, and there are dumplings in my freezer at all times. Because like I said, I never, ever, ever cook all the dumplings at once. All right, so I'm mixing this up. I really want to fully incorporate everything. I have my cabbage, my tofu. It smells so good. I can smell that wine. That soy sauce provided the salt, the sodium that I needed. And, you know, as far as soy sauce, there are people with soy allergies. You can use Bragg's amino acids, which is a nice soy substitute if you are not able to eat soy. All right, so this is nice and mixed up. I can see everything is evenly incorporated, which you want because you want each dumpling to taste exactly the same. All right, here we go. Now, one more thing I'll tell you. If you are in a rush or just want a different type of meal, this filling tastes fantastic stir-fried, and I've done it. So my kids really wanted the dumplings. I didn't have time one day. I had made the filling ahead of time. I just ran out of time. So I said, you know what? I got to walk on. I got it super hot, a little bit of sesame oil. I tossed this in and I fried it up. It was aromatic, it was delicious. And then I served it with lettuce cups. So I don't know if any of you have ever been to, if any of you have ever been to P.F. Chang's or some of these, you know, Asian restaurant chains, they have lettuce cups, which my kids love. So I just served this with lettuce cups. I put some chopped peanuts on the table, some shredded carrot. Everybody made their own. So that's another option for these if you don't want to get into the groove of the dumplings. But we are going to make some dumplings. So I'm going to move my filling to the side and I'm going to show you how to make our little dumpling skins. So let's get our really, really lovely dough, which I have here. All right. So I cut it in 4s and I'm going to cut it again. But as you can see, it's nice and soft. And like I said, what's lovely about this is it's 2 ingredients. I'm going to put it on a floured board and I'm going to cut it in half. Now, what I'm going to do, so in other words, we have the dough, we quartered it, and now we halved that quarter. So I'm just going to roll it out into a rope. Second, board is slipping a little bit. And we're going to get a nice rope, cord, whatever you want to call it. Now, once we get this lovely cord, it's going to be a cord, a log, what you want to call it. It's going to be about 1 inch in diameter and 20 inches long. That's how you know. Then you're going to, and Tina uses her fingers. I use a knife just to be a little bit more precise. You're going to pinch off about an inch pieces. Okay. Move these over to the side. I'm going to take a rolling pin and one of my dumplings. What I do is I kind of massage it in my hands, okay, so that I have a small circle. So obviously you want your dumpling wrapper to be a circle like that. Now, this is not ready, obviously, this is very small. So I'm now going to take this and I'm going to take a rolling pin and I'm going to press out from the middle. Because what you want is you want the middle to be a little bit thicker than the edges, because the edges is what you're pleating and the middle is what's holding that filling. So you just press out from the middle and you just move it around in a circle. And as you can see, the edges will pucker. They'll actually pop up because they're now thinner than the middle. So that's where your base is. That's where you're going to put your filling. And then in the middle, excuse me, and then the edges is where you're going to have your filling. All right. So now I have a perfectly, well, not perfect, but almost perfect circle. And I'm just going to move it along my fingers to keep that puckered edge and keep that middle a little tiny bit thicker. Then I'm going to take off a little bit of my filling, not a lot. Whenever you're filling something, less is more. That's why this is, you know, this is a bit of a time-consuming process, but I'm telling you, if you have kids that are into cooking and you show them a few, they will be pros. So now I have my filling in. I'm going to take the ends, two of the ends, it's a circle, so it doesn't matter which two, and I'm going to go up so that I have, let's call this a half moon, right? Then I'm going to go to the side, place this up, and start my pleat. Each time, moving this along, to make my dumpling. And then as you can see, there's my dumpling. And then it actually, let's see if you can see this, it'll sit right on the board, just like that. And what you should do is have your baking sheet and have your dumplings just sit on a floured baking sheet as you make more. So I made a whole bunch in advance to get us going and so that I can show you a few of them. Because like I said, this does take a little bit of practice. And as you can see, mine are pretty small. Again, I'm going to go up to the top, make my half moon, then I'm coming over to the side, and I'm just going to start to pinch. And there you go. You have a lovely little dumpling. And these are just going to hang out on my floured surface as I make more. Now, if that just seems a little bit too complicated, don't worry about it. Take your dumpling, half moon, and just press it closed. Like I said, it all tastes the same in the stomach. It's just a question of what you want to do.
Anna, I'm curious about while you're putting in the filling. I mean, can you like put in some, you know, a shredded carrot? Can you put in other kinds of ingredients into the center mix?
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I was going to say, if you are a true vegetarian, you could absolutely make this with the tofu, with the cabbage. Increase your cabbage, increase your tofu. And if you want, like you said, add some shredded carrot, add some celery, add anything that you like. The only thing I would suggest is to, you know, parboil everything ahead of time, because as you'll see when we cook these up, they cook very quickly. So you don't want the dumpling cooked on the outside and then the raw veg on the inside.
Is there any chance that you can purchase these dumplings already in their circle? The dough in circles?
Yes, I've never seen dumpling dough in the local grocery store. However, if you go to Asian markets, there's one in Norwalk, for example. It's actually called Oriental Market, right on Route 7. I'm pretty sure you can buy them there. I've never bought them pre-made. You know, I love making these. I find it very, you know, I find it very, what's the word? Therapeutic, but absolutely, if you're, you know, a little bit intimidated by it, by all means, do a little digging, but absolutely, Asian markets will sell you. They're not going to taste the same as this. This is truly that dumpling wrapper that, you know, you get at the Chinese restaurants, because someone is getting there early in the morning and making these. But I think the half moon without any depletes, anybody can do. You just really,
It's interesting that this can be, as you said, therapeutic. You can do it one day, you can do the dumplings and get your karma going there, and then you can do the mixture. The dumplings, if you do make them into, say you do it the day before, can you then, once you've made the circles, can those be frozen and then brought back out to make dumplings? I mean, can things be in stages of freezing? And
oh yeah, yeah. If you want to go ahead and make a whole bunch of these, you can absolutely freeze them. Just, you know, always be mindful. You're not going to want to throw soft dough on top of each other. You know, you're going to want to really, really flour them. You're going to want to line them out on parchment and, you know, in a single row, and freeze them so that you get discs. Just think about when you buy things frozen at the grocery store, how they prepare them for you. That's how you're going to want to prepare them at home. But yes, absolutely. You could even make the filling and freeze it.
I'm getting some notes here in the chat that the Oriental Market is on Route 123, if people are interested.
Oh yeah, 123, sorry. Yep.
123. And then there's also, someone else says you can buy them at the Asian Market in the shopping center near ShopRite on Main Street in Stamford. So good things to know.
Thank you, everyone. I'm trying to think. ShopRite in Stamford. Nice. I'm going to check. I don't know that I've ever been there. I've always just gone to the one in Norwalk. And the one in Norwalk is great also for getting other things that you might want to serve with your dumpling dinner. You know, they have, you know, they have all the Asian rices, noodles, soy sauces, different sauces. That is another thing is, you know, when we're serving these, there's a couple different things that I love. And I love serving them with chili oil. I love serving them with dumpling sauce. Or you can make your own. So all you have to do is take soy sauce, put a little bit of rice wine vinegar in there, a little tiny bit of sugar, mix it up. Delicious. And then you can add some hot oil to that too, if you want them spicy, however you like. All right, I think we have enough. Now we can talk about how we're going to cook these. So there's a couple of different things you can do. My children love them pan fried. They just love the flavor, they love the crispiness, and then they love dunking them in lots and lots of soy sauce. The other thing that I use them for is soups. Even if I just make a chicken noodle soup, you can throw these in and they just taste great. Or just a veggie soup with, you know, chicken stock, some, like you said, some shredded carrot, some sliced onion very thin, get that going, a rolling boil, nice and salty, throw these in, they are delicious. You don't need to go and buy a lot of different ingredients to get these into the sauce, into the broth. And then the final way is you can steam them. So if you have a steamer basket, you can put down a little bit of parchment into the steamer basket because you don't want them to stick to the steamer. Put them on top and cook them up that way too. And they will puff right up and everything will cook. Now, as far as frying, I love frying in a nonstick pan. People always ask, I buy green pans. It's the only nonstick pan I will use. Never put them in the dishwasher, never put them on really high heat. They will last for a very long time. Once you start to see that this nonstick is, you know, nonstick anymore, that it's coming off, that's the time to get rid of it.
Could you tell us again, what was that? You called it a green pan?
Green pan, yeah, yes, the brand is actually called Green Pan, and they come in a whole bunch of different colors.
And before you get going with the cooking, someone's very curious to see the sauces, the two sauces that you
Okay, yes.
them up
So
close.
this company is great. It's called Fly by Jing, J-I-N-G, and they make so many great sauces. Their chili crisp, it's spicy. It's got the chilies right in there. I love it. And then my kids like their dumpling sauce because it's a little bit sweeter and less spicy. I use this. My kids use this. And Fly by Jing, they're online. They're on Instagram. They're easy to find. So I'm gonna get my pan hot and I'm gonna put in some toasted sesame oil. You can use any neutral, I wouldn't use olive oil, but any neutral oil, grapeseed, canola, veggie, whatever you have. I love the taste of the toasted sesame. So I add that in. You don't need a lot. You're just gonna kind of coat the bottom of the pan and get it nice and hot. Then you're gonna get your dumplings. Let's see, let's do 6. You don't want to overcrowd the pan. All right, we're gonna get those in. The other thing that we're gonna do, whenever you're making dumplings in the pan, whenever you're making fried dumplings, you're gonna get them into the hot pan to get that nice crispy sear. You want the flour to activate with the oil and sear up, so you get that nice crispy bottom. But you also want to make sure that the pork on the inside is cooked. That's very important. So what you want to do after you get them nice and seared on the bottom is you're going to add a little bit of water, like I would say no more than 2 tablespoons of water. And then you're going to cover it, because when you cover it, this steam is going to cook the pork on the inside, because the last thing you want is to bite into a crispy dumpling that looks cooked, and then you bite into it and you have raw pork. We don't want that. Then on the side, I love to serve it with either a little bit of white rice, fried rice, bok choy. You know, what I do whenever I'm making the dumplings is I kind of make it like an Asian takeout at home night, and the kids love it. So like I said, you can make the dumplings, you can make half a recipe, fry up the rest. If someone doesn't want to eat it in the dumpling skin and they just want to have that delicious filling, whatever, whatever works best for your family. So let's see. Make sure I got a nice high heat. And we're going to get these in. You'll be able to hear, or maybe not. This is the one thing that we lose with Zoom, is that you can't smell or taste any of the delicious food getting made. But these are in, and I have them in a nice big pan. So I actually think I can cook off all these. You're just going to want to make sure, and I'll pick up the pan, but you're just going to want to make sure that every dumpling has some room. All right, so we have these in, and they're cooking away. And you're going to want to have the pan nice and hot, because with the hot pan is how you're going to get that crispy dumpling. So that's just going to cook. And I don't even really touch them that much. I let them just sit on that hot heat. They're cooking up, they're getting nice and crispy, and there is some induction of heat into the pork. So you actually are cooking the pork at this stage. You're just not necessarily cooking it all the way through, which is important. And especially if you're making the dumplings bigger and adding more filling, that's more important as far as getting, making sure that pork is getting cooked through. So
how many minutes do you think it should just sit, the dumpling should sit on the hot heat, and then before you put the water in and do the steaming? What do you think?
So I would say you're gonna, and you can hear it. It starts to kind of talk to you. It starts to sizzle. It starts to cook up for you. I would say 2 to 3 minutes, you're gonna start seeing some brown on that dumpling. I will pick it up so I can show you. So these are gonna, and then also, if you do the easier method, we'll call it the empanada method, where you're just doing a half moon, it's gonna crisp up even faster because it's got more surface area. So that one's already kind of crisping on me. These I'm gonna toss to one side. I'm gonna pick up another one and show you. Here we have the whole bottom is cooked, all right? And then we're gonna just kind of crisp up the sides. I'm gonna flip them all over. And once I flip them over, your 2 to 3 minutes has passed.
So it's also a kind of a function of how crispy people want it. Some might want it lightly crispy. Other people want it really crunchy, crunchy, crunchy.
Exactly. If you really like your dumplings soft, then it can be really quick in the pan. You are going to want to cook the flour on the outside though, just so that you have a little bit of that texture that you get whenever you're eating a fried dumpling. If you don't really want that texture, you're better off just either boiling them or steaming them.
So it's really, you just should not really walk away from the pan either.
No, because like these are ready. These are now ready. Now, as you can see, I'm going to add the water. The cover just went on. As you saw, the steam just went up, but I want to catch that steam. I want that steam to come up and come back down onto the dumplings and cook them. So that's why you add a cover. And that cover.
I'm sorry, some people are asking, that water, won't it make it soggy? I mean, you want crisp, but but then will the water make it soggy?
No. So what's going to happen is we threw the water in, exactly what you said. That crispy is going to start getting softened by the water. The water is going in, it's permeating the dumpling, it's cooking up that pork, and it's softening up. Now, once my water has evaporated, my water has done its job, it's gone. So now I'm going to take off the top, and I'm actually going to let them cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. Get rid of all the water that was in the pan. The dumplings now are super soft. They're going to continue to crisp up, and now you're going to have a dumpling that essentially went from crisp to soft and now back to crisp. And during that process, the pork was cooking. So now I lowered my heat. Now I'm going to raise my heat back up, and I'm just going to allow these to cook for another 2 minutes, because again, that's ensuring that my dumpling got cooked. I'm going to move all this out of the way. And while that is crisping up, just going to show you, just since someone was curious, this really yummy chili crisp oil.
Someone is saying they couldn't see the chili sauce when you brought it up to the camera. So again, another look-see, but I mean the label we can't see.
Okay, so this is it's Fly by Jing. I actually think they've changed their label since I purchased it. I just saw that randomly on Instagram, but it's called Fly by Jing, FLYBYJING. And this is their chili crisp oil. Now, what I do personally, and again, this is all personal preference, but this is an oil. This is an oil. So what I do is I actually add a little bit of soy sauce to the oil. And now I have a spicy soy sauce. And this is just absolutely incredible. And it's kind of my own concoction, but it's spicy. It's got the heat from the chili. It's got the oil that was infused with the chili. And then you add the soy sauce and it's delicious. But you don't even have to get this brand. Even at the Oriental Market, they have more than one brand of chili oil. Hot oil, chili oil, you'll find it. There's many, many different Asian brands for that. And it's just so good. Okay.
All right. I'm sorry to keep talking about this chili oil. What is the name of the brand again? People are not able to hear it. It's flying.
Okay. It's Fly by Jing. FLYBYJING.
J-I-N-G. Okay,
Yep.
I will put it into the chat.
All right, our dumplings are now done. So I'm going to turn these off. Okay, I'm going to grab a few. All right, look at that.
Ooh, nice.
Since you were worried about a soggy dumpling, there'll be no soggy dumplings here.
I don't like soggy dumplings. I like them crisp.
Exactly. So just remember, you need the water, but then you're going to take it off. In this process that I use for making my dumplings, use it anytime you make any dumplings. So if you even go to Costco and you buy the frozen dumplings at the store in the bag, do the same thing. That's my trick. It works every time. Hot oil, throw them in raw, get them nice and crispy, 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, shoot that in. It's going to shoot up, lower your heat, put on a cover, another 2 to 3 minutes. You know that that pork is cooked. Take it off and let all that water evaporate, and you're going to be left with a delicious crisp dumpling that is incredibly, incredibly hot right now. But just to, have you playfully experience the whole thing at home, I'm going to cut it open. As you can, or I don't know if you can see, but it's fully cooked on the inside. That pork has turned, so as you know, pork turns gray or, like a grayish brown once it's cooked. So I know this is cooked. I'm going to put it in my spicy oil. Guys, so good. I know it seems daunting. It's a lot of different steps, but even like Laura said, you can make your filling ahead of time. I'm telling you, this is a fun thing to do with the kids. If your kids are culinarily inclined, or at the end of the day, if you want to fake it, I absolutely make this filling. It's to die for, and grab some wonton skins at the grocery store, and you can do it that way too. Or if you want to really go and track down the dumpling skins that you can buy.
That's my mouth is watering. I want to be there and having some with you right now. I know what I'm going to have for lunch.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's really, really good. And I don't know, you might have to order some takeout for right now, but
I think so.
definitely try it.
Thank you, Anna, so much.
This was so fun. I hope everyone was able to kind of see. I know, when we're doing these TV things, it's not as easy, but like I said, look at this. Another one. I always call my crispy bottom dumplings, really crispy. I made sure to get all the sides. Nice big healthy dunk in my little homemade sauce. But like I said,
yeah,
a couple of different sauce options. Any, however you want to dip and dunk them.
Does anyone have any other questions? And it doesn't have to be about the recipe. Please, put it right into the Q&A and I'll be able to relay it.
Oh, and also, if you have a question after the fact, or you just want to contact me, or if you cook something from the book, I'm very active on Instagram. It's Anna F. Gass at Instagram. Easy to find. Same thing with my email, annafgass@gmail.com. So absolutely, any questions that you have, I am probably on my phone more than I need to be, but because of that, I answer pretty quickly.
Thank you so much, Anna. Next, then, so this is number 1 of your cooking series with us. Month in May, I think it's the 20th, you're coming, and you will be doing bees. It's a strudel, or
we're going to be doing bees. It's a Danish. And I'm going to show you how to actually braid a Danish. So that'll be a really fun class. I hope you can join us. And to all of you that came today, asked so many great questions, corrected me when I made a mistake. I am so appreciative. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, great. Anna, thanks so much. We'll see you next month.
Bye now.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks.